Hi, once again, I'm Steve Hunt. I'm a CPA and I'm the owner of College Tax Refunds. I was thinking today about how I could help out students, recent college students, and really anybody who might be in a tight spot right now because of coronavirus, maybe looking for a new job. And it occurred to me that I have a resource, someone that can help us out. I have with me here, I'm going to use Zoom today for this, to get this content to you. As you can see, I've got a picture of Banff, Canada behind me. Took this last year. But I wanted to invite Sam Hunt on here to tell us a little bit about his experience getting a job or getting some job offers, even in this difficult time when job offers are hard to come by. He's managed to get three of them. And I just wanted him to share his experience, the steps he took, and give us a few tips about how he was able to accomplish that right now at this difficult time. And maybe you can take something away from that for yourself. I'm hoping that you'll be able to hear something that you can use right now to help you get a job, whether you're a recent college student, college graduate, or whether you just barely lost your job. So Sam, come on board here. And first thing I want to tell you is I'm a huge fan of Take Your Time. Great song.
Oh, there we go. Of course, that's me. I'm a disappointment wherever I go. Everyone always
Oh,
expects the real Sam Hunt.
okay, yeah, folks, this is actually Sam Hunt, my brother. He is he Sam is graduating this month from BYU, Brigham Young University in Provo. And tell us about your experience here in getting your original job offer, which I understand that then was rescinded because of the current financial downturn, and then how you were able to turn that into three job offers that are, I think you said, even better than the original job offer. Go ahead, tell us.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting situation. I never thought that I would be in this position when I heard that they were going to rescind my job offer. Just a little bit of background. I'm a strategic management major here at BYU's Marriott School of Business, an undergraduate, right? Graduating with a bachelor's degree in strategic management. Next week, I'll be finishing my classes and I'll be, basically done with my degree. So I had some, I've had the experience of, the fortunate experience of being an intern in several different organizations. One of them was a fintech company up in Draper, Utah. I did that last year and really enjoyed my experience there. And so I, went through the recruiting process to get a job there when I finished my internship and when I was in my last semester here at BYU at the beginning of the year. Reached out to a couple of people there. I got through the interview process, long sort of process, and then was ultimately given a job offer that I was able to sort of, negotiate to a point where I felt good about it, accepted the job offer, and then started looking forward to starting work as soon as I graduated, right? Then everything started getting canceled, shut down, hiring freezes started coming on, and 8 days after I got and accepted my job offer from this company, I was called by their HR manager, who said that unfortunately, due to COVID-19 and all of the uncertainty facing the company at the time, that the management had made a decision to freeze all hiring, and freeze including new hires that were in the recruiting process, and even those who had accepted job offers. So I was, obviously very sort of discouraged by that. That was something that I wasn't expecting, and I didn't know how I was going to recover from that. I spent the next few days thinking about how I could, what my alternatives were. And so I know a lot of people are in similar situations where either they've lost a job or they've had a job offer rescinded, or they're trying to find a job, but they find that everybody, that they're talking to is not, responding or not hiring right now. And I can empathize with that. That's how I was feeling as soon as I heard this news. I wasn't sure what I was going to do next. So I considered my alternatives. This would be the first thing I would suggest that anybody do, right? Consider your alternatives. What you can do if you don't get a job. Can you extend your education? Can you go straight into graduate school? Can you start your own business? These are all sort of interesting opportunities and alternatives to getting a job that you might consider.
And I want to interrupt you for just a second. I know that you really pursued some of those other opportunities and didn't just decide, oh no, I really need a job. Tell me just a little bit more about each of those things that you thought about, just to make sure that anybody else who might right now be out of work, that you might be able to think, well, maybe I've got some other options too. I mean, how would you have paid for some of those other options too?
That is a great question. So Um, I have always considered going to, law school. That was something that I've been interested in ever since high school, and I wasn't sure, whether I was going to, now is the time, right? Talked with my family. I think that, that's a great sort of source to think through your options. So graduate school was an interesting opportunity there for me. I know that in my case, it's probably too late for me to apply to different law schools across the country because, the deadlines are far past now, but there are opportunities with, Brigham Young University, for example. I know that, graduate institutions might make exceptions for students who are from their farming undergraduate university. So you don't have to take the LSAT, for example, and you can sort of expedite your application process, right? Now that's a case by
Really, it
case
doesn't hurt
basis.
to reach out to the dean or to the law
Yes.
school, or let's say you wanted to go back to business school, get an MBA, or if you
Yes.
wanted to go, if you're going to work on a PhD or something, it can't hurt to pick up the phone and call or email people at each of those schools and say, hey, I would like to come back to school right now, and
Absolutely.
I know that we've missed the deadline to apply. Is there anything I can do? Right.
Absolutely. That's the way that I would approach not only this, but also the job hunt, is trying to get a connection, a conversation with somebody on the inside, a decision maker, right? You can spend all day going online and looking at applications and, sending in resumes and all that. But really, if you can get your foot in the door by, just getting a conversation with somebody who has decision-making power or who's in an office that, is internal to the organization that you're trying to get into, that's key. That's critical. Right. So anyways,
And I
I
know
consider.
you were also reaching out to me. I don't know what you were about to say there, the other options you were considering, but I know you and I were talking about ways that you might be able to start your own business or something, which is something I've done a few times. And you were considering those options. What options do you have to start a business? Anyway, go ahead and talk about other options or anything else you might want to add to that.
That's a great question. I think that depends on the situation. Obviously, it depends on how entrepreneurial and how risk averse you are. There's lots of different business ideas, and I would say that one of the best advice that I could do is reach out to some sort of mentor that you have that's done the entrepreneurial process. Obviously, Steve, you started several businesses, so that was a great resource. Reaching out to people on LinkedIn as well, and we're going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn and how I was able to use that to get the job offers that I have. I think that there's a lot of resources out there to sort of help you analyze the situation and see whether or not you should start a business. I can't say whether or not you should start a business. It depends on the idea. It depends on your personality, right? You got to ask yourself that question. Depends on how much, what resources and capabilities and skills you have. And I think that, there's a lot of ways that you can start businesses online today with blogs, YouTube videos, drop shipping, stuff from China, arbitrage. There's a lot of opportunity there. So if you're looking for something to do, pick up a book and read, go to YouTube and look up, videos of how to do certain things and, start up a small business, read a bunch of different articles. That's one way you could do it. I don't have much experience that would give much more insight than that, just to sort of use whatever resources you have to, to consider your option there. The other options that I was saying was, a different job opportunity. Sorry, extending your education. If you are an undergraduate student and you're trying to figure out how to graduate right now, you got your job offer rescinded, consider extending your graduation if possible, right? Don't necessarily graduate right now, but if you can sort of say, look, I'm going to stay in school for another semester, or I'm going to, graduate in December, right? Maybe by that time, the job market will have recovered. And you're going to have much more luck, right? Another consideration would be a lot of companies might be more willing to host an intern, maybe even an unpaid intern to get your foot in the door if you reach out in that way, because a lot of times headcount is one of the biggest expenses that businesses have, specifically like with tech companies. So they're cutting a lot of their workforce right now, but interns are a little bit different. They're a lot less of commitment, a lot less expensive, and they do provide value. So that's another thing that you can go for, is look for internships that can turn into full-time jobs.
Those are some great options. And I want to add that, with the choices that you have of starting your own business or being an intern somewhere or going back to school, to graduate school, or just staying in school, all four of those options do something that I think is very important for someone, especially someone like you who's just coming out of college and you're trying to establish a career path, is that you are making sure that your resume doesn't have open spots, right? Blank spots. You don't want to show that you graduated in April 2020 and then you weren't able to get a job for a year. But if you are able to say, well, I started a business, and whether that was successful or not doesn't really matter. You're going to be able to put that on a resume and say, this was my business, or I was an intern at this company. And from April 2020 until December or whatever. Or I continued college and you end up putting your graduation date as December 2020, or finally you went back to school. All those things fill the resume and allow you then to look better going forward when you apply for a job. So those are some great ideas.
That is a great point. I think that when it comes to beyond getting, the resume, right? Interviews, one key portion of the interview is being able to tell your story in a compelling way. When they ask you, so tell me about yourself, they're really asking you to tell you the story, why it is that you've gone through the career path or sort of direction that you're going, what you're hoping to accomplish, and what makes you a good fit for this role, right? So that's a big mistake that a lot of people don't understand when they go into job interviews, is they think people are, asking you, hey, what's your favorite color? Nobody cares, frankly. But they do want you to, tell them why you're a good fit for the role and what you're hoping to accomplish. So I think that's a good point. All of those alternatives give you a story, right? You can say, look, COVID-19 happened. I had to adapt. This is how I adapted. And I think that's a great way for them to see that you're adaptable, that you're able to solve problems, and that you're not, flustered by setbacks, and that you're able to get up and continue moving forward. So I did want to, sorry, if you have any other questions.
Okay. Just if you had any other options you considered, let us know. But otherwise, I'd love to see what you ended up doing.
Yeah, for sure. So those were the alternatives sort of that I was thinking, right? So even if I didn't have an alternative, when it came to I got a job offer, right? My first job offer, they asked me, what are your alternatives, right? And I didn't have an answer because I didn't have any other offers, right? But I did tell them, well, I'm considering, extending my education, right? I'm really interested in this opportunity, but I have also considered sort of extending my education. So this has to sort of be something that would warrant me, not doing that, graduating now so that I can do that. So that was how I was able to leverage that alternative, which even though I wasn't, yeah.
That's important. I really like that. What you're saying is that, because you told me that one of the things that has benefited you is that you ended up getting, as we've already said, multiple job offers, and you're able to use those to improve your job offers, to look very employable. But even for you, when you had only one job offer, you were able to say, just because you thought of other alternatives, that, look, I have other alternatives. I'm not hungry, thirsty for this job. I want
it, yes.
Yeah, you want the job. You tell them, I know I'm right for this job. I can do this job. I'm a great fit for this job, and I have other things I could be doing right now.
Yeah, I think that's key as well. If you want to make sure that you're getting top dollar, essentially, even if it's not, I in my case, right, I'm not necessarily looking for top dollar, although I do have several alternatives, right? And this is the way that you want to phrase it. You want to, say, make sure that they understand, look, it's not that I'm trying to get more money necessarily, but frankly, there's another opportunity that is really compelling because they're offering this salary, right? Say, and so it just makes it hard for me to weigh, the value that I have at this opportunity compared to that. Is there any way that we can sort of make it so that I'm not missing out on any opportunities by going in this direction, right? And that's sort of, I would say, a palatable way that you can express your alternatives. You don't want to come across as a big shot, right? Saying, oh, well, everybody wants to hire me. No, because nobody wants to talk to you. They'll say, okay, well, then go get hired by everybody else. We don't want you. But you got to be careful about that, and definitely use all your alternatives in your negotiations to increase or get a better opportunity in all of your different interviews and negotiation processes. Anyways, I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves because we're talking about the negotiation phase, which clearly comes after you get interviews and job offers. So just telling you what happened after I got the job offer rescinded. I went through that process of thinking about my options. I decided that one option that I needed to consider was still trying to find another job. I talked to my mentor, who said, look, you've got a resume that's good enough that I think that you could still get a job. So I said, okay, I took that advice and I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I don't have any prospects right now. I'm not in the conversation with anyone. So what I'm going to do is I need to get my resume in front of as many people as possible. And that's difficult to do, one-on-one, like sending it out online, right? I figured there's a great way to do it on social media, which is LinkedIn. Obviously, most people in professional, interested in careers these days have a LinkedIn profile. I would definitely recommend getting a LinkedIn profile. It's free, obviously. There's a premium version.
But it sounds like you've done a lot of work in trying to grow your network.
Yes.
Give us 5 seconds, 10 seconds. How have you done that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So you can connect with people on LinkedIn as well. You can look them up in their search bar, look them up by their name, figure out, it's the right person. Okay, send a connection request. And then that's a great way to have a bridge to start a conversation. You can direct message people on LinkedIn. Obviously, most people probably already know this, but I would say that a lot of the value of my experience with LinkedIn in being able to get these job offers came from the work that I put in before this point, where I was networking constantly throughout my college experience, throughout my internships. Every time that I met somebody new, and I formed a connection, I would reach out to them on LinkedIn, because you never know when that person in your future is going to have an opportunity and you're going to be the right place, or you'll have an opportunity and they're going to be in the right place based on, their career path or their skills and expertise to be able to help you. And it's such a seamless way of reaching out. So I cannot rave enough about how LinkedIn helped me increase my my employability in this circumstance. Anyways, let me just show you what I did, right? So let me share the screen real quick.
Go for it. Yeah, so
let me know
LinkedIn is obviously today's business cards. Back in the day, you'd share your business card and you'd have a whole stack of business cards, but then you'd have to call them or email them or whatever all the way down through the business card pile in order to get your information out. But you were able to just do this. Show us how you did it with LinkedIn.
Yeah, for sure. So let me just show you real quick my LinkedIn profile. So if I just go here to, view profile. Okay, so this is my profile. I obviously have my title as the co-founder of the BYU Product Management Club, which was a club that I started. I would definitely recommend, trying to go outside and get as much experience while you're in college, obviously, if possible. If you don't have internships, just start something, start a club. There's nobody stopping you from starting a club, right? And I figured this is a great opportunity because this is a club that needs to be started. So if you look here, you see I've got 1,786 views of my profile in the last, I believe it's like 2 or 3 weeks. It shows sort of my experience, my volunteer experience. Sorry?
Does it say, you've got 860 followers?
Yeah,
Okay.
So right now I've connected with 860 people. Follower, I think, is the same as just connecting with somebody. So that's the number of people that I have first level connections with. And then their connections, obviously, they have 1,000 connections. And so my ability to reach out to people who are outside of my inner circle to the outer circles, it just becomes an exponentially facilitated through LinkedIn. So let's see. The post itself was right here. So this is the post that I put 2 weeks ago. And over the last 2 weeks, I've had 78,000 views of my post, 667 likes, 63 comments. And most of these comments are for people, sorry, I'm not going to show the names here, expressing their interest and their, condolences, I guess, for the situation.
So this wasn't, it doesn't happen overnight, but in 2 weeks. So tell us, point out the break down your post here as to what you were telling everybody in this post and how you got it shared.
Right. Okay. So I think that a lot of people use LinkedIn to post.
I'm gonna jump out here and say 78,000 views, but you only have I would say only, but you have 860 followers. So obviously, you don't have to have 78,000 followers to get 78,000 views. So yeah, go ahead and show us what you've done here.
Right. And then it also shows you and breaks down like where people are, viewing you from, all the companies and roles and the areas. So there's some cool analytics there. So the post itself says, to my LinkedIn network, in the wake of the economic fallout due to the outbreak of COVID-19, my wife and I were notified that my post-graduation employer had initiated a hiring freeze that included the full-time offer I had previously accepted. I empathize with those.
Yeah, I mean, so that you're telling them I was hireable, I had a job, and I've lost it through COVID-19. So the people right now who are looking for work many of them are in the same situation. So there's an introduction that says, I'm not unemployed because I'm unemployable, right? You're saying,
right.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So just an overview as well as I read through this, we're going to talk about sort of the rhetoric that I used, just trying to establish credibility, to make logical sense, and to have an appeal to passion and reason, right? So ethos, logos, pathos, obviously the 3 triangles of Aristotle's rhetorical triangle. So let's see. So the second paragraph says, I empathize with those who have experienced similar difficulties in the current job market, especially those in more precarious economic or family circumstances than ours. My family is...
Yours isn't the worst sob story. You're saying there are other people in worse situations. Okay, keep going.
Yep. My family is willing and able to relocate if necessary. If you know of any opportunities, full-time or internship, for roles in tech, data analytics, business analytics, product management, consulting, finance, or strategy, please reach out, as I'd love to learn more. If you are not aware of any such, go for it.
I'm just breaking down one paragraph at a time. I do want to try to keep everything short here. So right there, you've just said, look, we can work anywhere, you said, and any kind of job in these industries, right? So and given your skills. That's great. Keep going.
Yep. And then it says, if you're not aware of any such opportunities, a like would go a long way in spreading the message to someone who might. Thank you, and God bless.
Tell me why that's important.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, if you like somebody's post, that generates sort of traffic. There's algorithms behind LinkedIn that, put it to the top and share it with people's network. So if people don't have opportunities, right? If they're like, oh, I don't know of anything, that sucks. Right. But I
don't want to just stop. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. At the very least, I can like this post, and that's going to help this guy because it's going to share it. Instead of 860 people seeing it, 80,000 people ended up seeing it after 2 weeks. Right. So that's important. I see a lot of
how many people liked it then? Go down.
667 so far.
Okay. Yeah. So, and that's not even your full group of friends, or followers, but yet just having 600 likes gets 80,000 views. That's fantastic.
Right. It's difficult to get that traffic though. And I'll tell you sort of why a lot of other posts that are similar to like this don't get as much traffic. They don't get as many views or likes. I don't know exactly why it is, but I'm guessing that the part of what I did well with this post that gave me the success and the leads that it generated was a few things. First of all, I put white space in between the paragraphs. A lot of people just have one big hunking paragraph because they figure, oh no, people aren't going to want to read a long post. That's actually false in my opinion, because I think that, breaking it up into smaller, more digestible paragraphs makes it more engaging and more comprehensive, easier to comprehend than one big paragraph, right? It's more visually appealing. Second, I would say the ethos or the credibility that I established by having clear and grammatically correct writing is crucial. That is also another thing that I posted at the bottom is I posted my resume, and we'll talk about why that's important, as well as the hashtags. But having impeccable grammar and clear, compelling writing is definitely a way to show your skills and your ability to contribute.
So did you get any help with that writing?
Well, I've learned that type of writing over the course of my college career. But I've also got, resources. My dad, is an English professor, our dad, obviously. I share a lot of my writing with my brothers and my dad and my family to sort of get it reviewed.
You're using your network to even help you craft this letter.
Exactly. And I would definitely recommend that if you feel, that your writing could use a little bit of help. I didn't have anybody review this post. But that's just because as I, work on my writing and as I get it reviewed by other people, I become a better writer and it just comes more naturally.
Now, and this, and having taught at the college level for 6 years, I would definitely vouch for anybody who's writing something as important as this to have somebody look at it and get some help. But I really like what you've done here where, you say that you've broken up the paragraphs so that it's easy on the eyes, it's very easily readable. Something else that I've learned over time with writing is that people don't want to read more than about 150 words. And it's very interesting to me that I think this is almost exactly 150 words. I haven't counted them exactly, but I've done some quick math and it looks like you've got the exact right length for what people are willing to read. And in fact, if it's too short, they're not going to pay much attention to it. If it's too long, they're not going to read it. You've got the right length, and each of your paragraphs actually is just kind of one sentence. And as we just went through it here, I was able to point out exactly why each sentence was important. You were saying, I'm employable. I'm not, this isn't a sob story. There are people in worse situations, but look, I can work in these areas. If you know if you have any opportunities that you're aware of, please share this and let me know. And otherwise, just like it, right? So that's great. I love it.
Yeah. So I think that those are all great points. I would definitely include that last, all of those elements if you can. You want to make sure that people don't see you as just another student who's unemployable. And when I say unemployable, right, that's a harsh word. Lots of people are employable. They just don't want to. It's rough out there, right? People are not hiring. A lot of people are not hiring, but some people are. There are still great opportunities, as I learned from this post. So I would say just sorry, the clock's going off. I would say that you should include all of the elements there, and then at the end, obviously, some hashtags for all the things that you're interested in, because hashtags, obviously, anyone who likes these or is interested in these fields like product management jobs, finance, strategy jobs, BYU grad, I definitely can help it take off as well. Hashtags are not too many hashtags, right? So then put the resume there. I think it's key that you put the resume there because it shows that it gets rid of a step. If people are interested in you, they have to reach out and say, hey, send me your resume. You say, look, I've already sent you my resume, and that's that gets rid of the awkward sort of, hey, send me your resume message. And then if your resume is not what they're looking for, then it's awkward, right, for them.
And you got help prepping this resume too, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. So this is based on the standard BYU business school format. So the Career Center at BYU sort of gave me this format that I was able to tailor, my experience and my skills to. If you're interested, in getting a resume review, you can reach out to me. You can add me on LinkedIn. Send me a message if you do. Say, hey, I saw this video on, Steve Hunt's College Tax Refunds. Because otherwise, I just won't know who you are, and I'll just out of security reasons, I won't add you. But if you want me to help you, tailor your resume, I can send you this resume, and you can sort of change it to your experience if you think that's compelling. I think it's a very good resume, given the amount of interest that I had. I had over 40 different sort of people reach out with different opportunities from different companies, including I had an interview with Apple, Amazon, Google. Not interviews with all of those, but I did get interest from all of those, and I had referrals from basically all of those as well, and as well as smaller, lots of smaller companies, and even some of the big finance companies, Goldman Sachs and whatnot. Not to brag, like I said, but to show just sort of the ability of LinkedIn to get that sort of traction. Now, another thing is I had a lot of people in my network, the people who were supervisors and whatnot who could vouch for me. They were willing to share it and give their recommendation, and that extended my network into
so you're talking the people specifically who on your network who you've actually worked with, or maybe the guy who gave you the last job offer and had to rescind it. Those are kinds of people who were able to like it and comment and say some good things.
Yes. Yep. So he, specifically the guy who gave me my would-be boss, he is a Harvard business graduate, right? And so his network is obviously much more extensive at the big companies than mine is. And so he shared my post, and I had several people reach out because they trusted his recommendation. So if you have people who can recommend you who have extensive networks, use that as well.
And if you lost your jobs merely because of the COVID-19 stuff, have your previous employer make a recommendation or whatever. Are we about done here? Yeah, we can go back to seeing you. So, not everybody is in the same situation as you are, Sam, where you have 860 followers. You obviously have, you may have seen, some of you watching and looking closely may have seen that Sam's got a great GPA. He's been a great student. He's had several good opportunities. And then you said that you had, a manager who went to Harvard and was able to recommend you. And so you've got a lot of things going for you, and that's definitely been a blessing to you and helped you out. What can you say to anybody else, though, who maybe feels like, oh, I'm not in the same situation as Sam is. I don't know that I'll be able to get as much connections through my network. Any thoughts there? And you've disappeared from the screen here. And you've been muted too. Did we lose you? Well, we may have lost him. He may come back on here, but anyway, I'll just wrap up. If and if he comes back on, we can ask him that question again.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yep, there we go. Did you hear my question?
Yeah, I did hear your question. I'm sorry that the video seems to be not working out. I don't do this very often. Anyways, so good question. I would say that there are a lot of things that are in your control. Your writing, your crafting of your resume, your writing of your post, your ability to reach out to people and to set up a conversation, to be polite and positive, and to respond to each of the comments on your post and say, yeah, that sounds great, like a great opportunity. I'd definitely love to learn more, right? That shows to people who see the comments, oh, this guy is actually serious and he would be interested. Let's reach out, see if he's a good fit, right? So I would say that you just make sure that your writing is reviewed, make sure that your resume is as good as it can be, and go to your career center, talk to any mentors, and reach out to your network. Reach out to me, reach out to Steve if you need some help.
Absolutely. Go to collegetaxrefunds.com and send me a message through the contact us page if you've got some questions, if you want to be in contact with Sam, or if you have questions for me as well. Absolutely. Keep going. Anything else?
Yeah, you can reach out on LinkedIn as well. I would say just keep your head up because there are opportunities out there. There's also good resources that are being put together like mentorly.com and Hire Summit that are sort of trying
say those one more time, slower.
mentorly.com, mentorli.com. And then Hire Summit, I think, is another one. That's just one word, I think, Hire Summit. HIRESUMMIT, I believe. If you just Google those, they might have some good resources there for people who are still hiring throughout the sort of economic downturn that we've been experiencing.
Very good.
So those are some good resources for you. Keep your head up because there are opportunities out there. None of the opportunities that I've had sort of approach me. Well, a lot of opportunities, yes, are in tech, but none of the three that I had were companies that I sort of expected that I would be recruiting with, but they are great opportunities. And there still are great opportunities out there that you might not be considering. Everybody's, thinking about the big companies, and there's still a lot of them that are hiring, but you never know. And so I'd say just reaching out, putting yourself out there on LinkedIn, making sure that you put your best foot forward with your writing and with your resume. Do all those things, and good luck to you. I think that there's a lot of opportunity out there right now.
So I want to recap that and some of the other things you've said here, that even if you don't think you have the same size of network or the same the same background or experience or grades or whatever else going for you that Sam does, he said, look, there are still things in your control. He said that you can still go and get assistance improving your resume, get assistance writing a post like this, even from Sam, from me. You can use some of the text that you saw in Sam's post, and you can still always put your best foot forward. Make sure that you answer the comments that people make and thank people and give your best writing. So there are things you can do regardless of your background and experience. And as you've already said, yes, there's definitely companies out there that are still functioning, still hiring. Some of them are doing even better now in the downturn. And so there are still opportunities. And I want to bring us all the way back to the beginning of the conversation, Sam, where you were talking about the other options you considered, that you could have gone back to school, you could have gone and get a graduate degree, or you could have started your own business. So
internship as well.
And thank you. Yes. And you can always say, look, I'll work for free right now just to get some experience under my belt to put on my resume for the future. So there are definitely things out there that can be done. I really appreciate your time, Sam. This went a little longer than I anticipated, but it's been extremely helpful, I think. I hope many people get to watch this. I hope everybody watching this will pass this on to your friends, your family members, like the video and share it so that other people who need just a lift up, a foot up. What's the word I'm looking for?
A boost.
A boost, a hand up, and who need to know how someone can get a job in this market. Now, you got 3 offers. Congratulations to you. That's a great blessing for you. And then you were able to use that to you're still deciding on which one to take. Good luck with that.
Yep, we're going down to Austin, Texas tomorrow. My wife and I are going down there to explore one of the options that we're considering right now too. So.
And that was within 2 weeks of making that post on LinkedIn. So yeah, and of course, I imagine too that somebody who reaches out to me, to you, with the same kind of LinkedIn post, you and I could like their post as well, and they could benefit from our networks also. So thank you very much for your time. Those of you who've made it through this video, thank you for watching. I hope we've given you some information that can be helpful to you and can bless your life at this challenging time. If you have questions, or if you have anything else that you'd like us to answer, or any content you'd like me to create, please go ahead and comment down below, like and subscribe here, and share this with others. And I want to remind all those recent college students, anybody who's been to college in the last few years, please check out collegetaxrefunds.com. If you have, all of us need a little bit more money right now. I've noticed after doing thousands of tax returns for college students, specifically focusing on them, that there are 20 million recent college students in this country who have missed about $1,300 every single year on their taxes because they receive scholarships or Pell Grants. If you were a college student in the last few years, you had scholarships or Pell Grants, please take a look at collegetaxrefunds.com. Try the free instant online calculator there to see if you missed any money. Okay. And then you'll be given instructions there. You can put in anonymous numbers just from your taxes to find out if you missed any money, and then you can be given instructions on how to claim that money that you missed. Thanks so much for your time, Sam.
Of course. Of course. Thank you.
Good luck. Bye.